the anguish that Thomas went through on the day of the cross. Thomas, for 30 pieces of silver, Judas sells out this man that he loves, that he walks in covenant with, that he's sworn his life to. And he begins to watch as they just begin to break these things across Jesus' back. And they begin to tear the flesh off of his back. And Thomas, I'm sure inside, is thinking, this is not what I signed up for. This is not where I thought this was going to go. This, you know what, this may look bad, but he's going to get out of this. Because I remember when he raised up the son of the widow. I remember when he raised up Jairus' daughter. They may really get him down, but they're not going to kill him. He's not going to leave me. Because I sold everything. I gave up everything. I walked away from industry. I walked away from marriage. I walked away from kids. I walked away from all my plans and hopes and dreams. And there's no way he's going to leave me. Right. And they put the beam on his back as he bleeds out his sides, and he walks up this hill, and Thomas is shaking his head saying, this is not what I signed up for. This is not what I thought it was going to be. This is not working out. You know, it's going to be okay though, because I remember he loves the Father. He worships the Father. He talks to God, and he lets us listen when he talks to God. And you know what? We know that he's got control, and he's got power, and he's not going to leave me because he cares too much for me. They walk him up the hill, you know, and Simeon comes in to help a little bit, and Thomas gets a little encouraged, and he thinks, you know what, it's not going to be that bad. They're going to get some help. It's going to be okay. They get up there to the top of the hill, and he watches as they nail Jesus to the cross. They drive nails into his hands, into his feet. They shove a crown of thorns onto his head. They beat him. They pull his beard, they spit on him, and Thomas is shaking his head saying, this is not what I thought we were going to do. We've only been here 3 years. There's plenty of ministry left. We need to go back to Tyre and Sidon, and we're going to spend all this time in Jerusalem and Judea and Galilee. We need to let's branch out. There's people that need to be healed. Come on, it's not time to quit. Jesus, don't leave me. Raise Jesus up on the cross. He begins to bleed. He begins to sweat. His body begins to atrophy. And Thomas is just tears streaming down his face, saying, this is not it. This is not the end. This is not the end. He won't leave me. Jesus spreads out his hands. Eli, Eli, lama sabachthani. My God, why have you forsaken me? And Thomas thinks, no, God's not. No. It's not happening. It can't happen like this. Because you said you'd be a friend that sticks closer than a brother. You can't leave me. Jesus breathes his last breath. He says, it is finished. Thomas, no! No! Why did you leave me? Why did you leave me? And he walks away. He walks away that day, and Thomas makes up his mind, I will never, ever lay down my life for anybody again. Because that hurt too bad. There's no way I will ever let anybody that close again. There's no way I'll ever be a part of a group like that again. There's no way I'll ever just follow somebody with all my energy, because that tore me to shreds. Some of you have gotten that mindset. You know what? You become a part of a ministry team, and you help, and you work, and you know what? People just call you names, and people talk about you, and people tear you up. So I'm just, you know what? I'm going to have my own little God, and I'm going to worship my own little God, and I'm going to stay out of your business, and I'll come to church every Sunday and make sure that I fill my spot in the pew and I put my tithe in, but I'm not going to love anybody. I'm not going to sell myself out for anybody. I'm not going to give my heart or my soul to anybody, because you might tear me apart. I mean, God's great and all, but you can't leave that community stuff alone. Because if we start getting together, working together, it hurts too bad when people leave. Don't get committed to church, because church is going to split. Don't get committed to marriage, because your marriage is probably going to break up. hurts too bad. I don't want to do it anymore. I don't want to commit anymore. You know what? Thomas was hurt too bad to believe. It hurt him too bad. You know what? And Jesus shows up at the tomb to Mary, and he says, I'm alive. Go tell all that you know. Tell them that I'm alive. She comes back to the disciples, and Thomas isn't there. When Mary shows up and says, he's alive, he's alive, he's alive. And everybody gets excited, and they're rejuvenated, and there's a growth, and there's a rebirth. And then they come and they find Thomas, and they say, Thomas, he's alive, he's alive, he's alive. Thomas, he's alive. Thomas says, if I believe he's alive, I may have to watch him die again. And I can do without that. Unless I stick my hands into the print of the nail. Unless I put my hand into his side where that spear went in. Came out blood and water. Unless he stands in front of me, I will not believe. And go with me to chapter 20 of John. I don't want to show. But one of the 12, Thomas, called Twin, was not with them when Jesus came. So the other disciples kept telling him, we have seen the Lord. But he said to them, if I don't see the mark of the nails in his hands, put my finger into the mark of the nails, and put my hand into his side, I will never believe. After 8 days, his disciples were indoors again, and Thomas was with them. Thomas was with them. He may have given up on believing. He may have given up on giving his heart away. But there's something about you that says, you know what, I may not get it. I may not understand Jesus. I may not fully comprehend just what it's all about. But I know I need him, and I know I need to be here. You're here, and I thank God that you're here. You've been hurt, you've been torn apart, and people have left you for dead, but you're here. And it hurts when you look around. It hurt Thomas when he looked at Peter, and he looked at Matthew, and he looked at Bartholomew. He looked around, and he was reminded of what he had with Jesus. But he said, I know there's something about these people. You're with the people that believe that he's alive again. And you may not believe it yet. You may not feel it yet. You may not have sold out yet. Because you hurt too much to believe in that. But you're here. And I thank God that you're here. I thank God that you've stuck it out. That you're coming back every week. That you're coming back because you know there's something that you need to give up. There's something that you need to gain. There's something here for you. Verse 26, after 8 days his disciples were indoors again, and Thomas was with them. Even though the doors were locked, Jesus came and stood among them. He said, peace to you. Then he said to Thomas, put your finger here and observe my hands. Reach out your hand and put it into my side. Don't be an unbeliever, but a believer. Thomas responded to him, my Lord and my God. What do you need today when it hurts too much to believe? When you're hurt too much to believe. You know what? You know what we've done? We've built walls around our hearts so that nobody can get close. We built walls that stand huge, giant walls that say, you know what, I love you, I'll stand next to you, but you can't get in here. Thomas built a wall when he walked away from the cross and said, I'll never do that again. What do you need when it hurts too much to believe? You know what you need? You need a God that is at his best walking through walls. Because if you look, it says, though the doors were shut, though the doors were locked, you've put the key in, you've turned it, you broke the key and threw it away, and you said, nobody's ever getting into my heart again. You locked the door and you said, you can't get through this wall, Jesus, because I built it too strong. And Jesus said, I'll walk right through it. And I'm going to stand in the middle and I'm going to say, here I am. It's what we need. We need a God that can walk through walls. He's at his best walking through your wall. And yet Jesus says, blessed are those that haven't seen and believe. But you know what? Some of us have been hurt. Some of you have been hurt. And it's hard to believe. But He's at his best walking through that wall you've built. If you're in this situation where you're in a place where it hurts, you never thought you could believe, I tell you, there's a God that can walk through your wall. And He's ready, and He's waiting. He's not intimidated by your wall. He's dealt with walls for a long time. And He's not intimidated by your hurt. He can cleanse that too. What has hurt you, the people that have abandoned you, you know what? He can fix it. The things that hurt, He can fix. He's here for you. He died for you. And you know what? You know what Jesus told Thomas? He said, you know what? The day that you thought I was abandoning you, I was signing your adoption papers. I was making sure that you could live with me forever, so that we could be seated together in heavenly places, so that your daddy and my daddy are the same guy. I was making sure we were family. I was making sure you couldn't be left. I was making sure there was no way you were ever going to be alone. You thought I was abandoning you. I was saving you. Jesus never left you. He never left you. You may have felt alone. You may have felt like nothing was happening, and like He had just walked away and He left your situation. No. He never left you. You thought He was leaving you. He was signing your adoption papers.